It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. We're going to jump on that interactive board. There was an article published. The headline of the article, Konica Minolta to report biggest ever loss for FY 2022. Biggest ever loss. Konica Minolta celebrating their 150th anniversary, and the year 2022 is going to be their biggest loss ever. According to this article, they're going to have an impairment charge of $867.7 million, and they're going to show a loss for FY 2022 of $782.2 million. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that this entire loss is about an inability for Konica Minolta to produce sufficient operating profit in all their divisions, and it's about Konica Minolta not being really good at their acquisition strategy. And I believe that they've been piling up opportunities on stuff that's not working, and they've been doing that for way too long, and now it's all coming to head. It was just, a few months ago that Konica Minolta published its third quarter numbers, and the entire industries, all the analysts and all the media were saying, Konica's back. Everything's going great at Konica. In the meantime, we saw them, and we saw some senior leaders exiting the company, if you will. We still see turmoil over there. And if our industry wasn't afraid to talk about what's not working, the industry wouldn't be so shocked about the fact that Konica Minolta for FY 2022 is going to lose $782.2 million. Let me read this article. Japanese copier maker Konica Minolta said Wednesday it expects to post a record consolidated net loss of 105 billion yen for the year that ended in March, making it fourth straight year of red ink. Although the company had initially projected a net profit of 5.5 billion yen for fiscal 2022, it booked an impairment loss of 116.6 billion yen, due chiefly to slower than expected growth in U.S. genetic testing firm it acquired in 2017. The record loss projection has made the firm decide to skip the dividend payment. I'm hoping they're going to skip the dividend payment with a loss of $782.2 million. We don't regret what we did, but we must learn how to make decisions and take action when conditions change, said their president. And the president also said he's going to voluntarily give up 30% of his salaries from April. 30% of his salaries, giving it back. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a couple things in here that really stand out that share a bigger story about Konica Minolta. Let me read this sentence for you. Although the company had initially projected a net profit of 5.5 billion yen for FY 2022, 5.5 billion yen equals 41 million. Konica Minolta is like a $6-7 billion company, and their goal was 41 million in net profit. They consistently have set their goals way too low. And even if they hit these goals, it's no big home run. But when they don't hit them, or they run into a big problem, they've never had enough operating profit or discipline to manage the problem. And when the president says that he doesn't regret it, I think he should regret some of these things. But I do agree with him when he says that they got to be able to make decisions quicker. And they got to adjust to changes quicker. And it's not just about this genetic testing firm it acquired. I believe the genetic testing firm that acquired has a lot to do with their problems. That whole entire healthcare business has a lot to do with Konica's problems. Konica really should just bankrupt that whole entire thing. Get it out of their portfolio. And I believe that's kind of where this is going. They're going to end up bankrupting that healthcare business, and then they'll try to convince the world that now that we got rid of our biggest problem, everything's going to be okay. But I don't believe that's the case. If Konica Minolta can't figure out how to have more discipline, how to stop acquiring things and piling opportunities on stuff that's not working, it's going to just be a major problem, an ongoing problem, till the day it finally ends in some kind of a big bankruptcy. But $782.2 million loss for FY 2022 is a big number. Let me share something with you. This is a little bit of a graphic picture because I want it to sink in your heads. A bathtub full of blood because it is a bloodbath. In the year FY 2020 and FY 2021, Konica lost those 2 years combined $286.5 million. You add the $782.2 million for FY 2022, that's $1,068 million. Over the last 3 years, $1,068 million in losses. This isn't just about the genetic testing thing it bought in 2017. This is about an inability for the company to produce operating profit. This is about the company piling up worthless acquisitions, what I believe, worthless acquisitions. Ladies and gentlemen, I put something together here for you. And I want to focus for a second on the digital workplace and the professional print. Because those friends of mine that sell supply and service print equipment, that's what we care about, right? And Konica Minolta try to fool everybody and say, no, it's just about the healthcare, the print business is doing great. Let's look at the print business for 2019 2020 and 2021. 2019, 2020, and 2021 combined revenue for digital workplace and professional print was $11.1 billion. Operating profit for all of that money, $11.1 billion, was $66.3 billion, a half of 1%. A half of 1%. If you look at the year 2019, that was the year they had some operating profit, but it was 3%. 3% operating profit. They can't produce 10, 12, 8, 9, 7% operating profit for a year. They can have a quarter every once in a while, but even in all of these quarters, for 3 straight years, there's only one quarter that's over 7%. But look at this. For the year 2020, they had lost $20.1 million. For the year 2021, they lost $45.4 billion. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2021, they had $150.1 million in impairment charges. This isn't just about their healthcare business. This is about their inability to deliver operating profit, and this is about their obsession to buy things. I showed this slide before. This is all the acquisitions that they put underneath that all-covered umbrella. Before Konica Minolta bought All Covered, All Covered bought 16 companies the 3 years prior to that. And then Konica Minolta buys All Covered. They went out and bought 24 companies underneath All Covered. One of them was that Forza company. We all know that thing was a mess. Konica Minolta bought. The last time I talked about this and showed this slide, I said that Forza probably has 5 customers. I never heard back, so I'm thinking they probably don't even have 5. Because if they had 6, maybe they would have said, no, we don't have 5. We got 7, Ray. We got 8, Ray. At the end of the day, I believe they're trying to get rid of that. And I hope that's one of the decisions the president's talking about. When things aren't working, we got to be able to make changes. Get rid of that thing. What else are they going to get rid of on this board of these acquisitions they made that fall up underneath that all-covered umbrella? Because Konica Minolta is notorious for piling up opportunities on stuff that's not working. Because if it was working, they wouldn't have $1.068 billion in losses over the last 3 years. That is a crap load of money. An absolute crap load of money. Now, I'm going to wrap it up with this. Ladies and gentlemen, I still got the Visual Edge logo upside down. I got to ask Austin a question real quick. Are you going to take a 30% pay cut? Are you going to give back 30% of your pay? Are you going to give back the bonuses you and your executives got in 2021 or 2022? I mean, I'm just asking the question. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to make a prediction here today. I've talked about this a little bit, but let me dig a little bit deeper into this. I believe that Visual Edge will definitely be taken over by Ares Capital. They will definitely take control of all the equity. They should have already done that. I also believe that they will have a big giant RIF. I believe that Visual Edge calls that a P20 program. Going to get rid of a lot of people. And I also believe that Visual Edge, at this point in time, has started to claw back some money from some of their executives. I'm sure you're getting the calls, right? Hopefully you are. And Austin and all the senior leaders at Visual Edge, I got some advice for you. Having your executives doing little videos and throwing complete nonsense on social media, telling the whole world how fantastic Visual Edge is, when you got loans at non-accrual with a CCR5 credit rating, you're completely ignoring reality, you look like a bunch of nuts. Just want to throw that out there. And I offered for Visual Edge, they can come out any day with any time they want and share their story. They don't do it. But folks, this is a perfect example of our industry ignoring things. Just like they ignored the things going on at Konica. Just like our analysts and media ignore all kinds of things. You know, I went to that Sharp meeting recently. I want to share something with y'all, some observations. At that Sharp meeting, they literally had, just a whole lot of analysts. A whole lot of analysts. They had so many analysts and media from the industry that they ran out of room at the table to have me eat dinner with them. There was that many people there. Has anybody seen one thing published or written about that meeting that was critical in any way to that meeting? Is the whole world supposed to believe that everything Sharp did at that meeting was perfect? That there's nothing that they could do better? That there's nothing that they could bring caution to? Are these people analysts or are they propagandists? I just want to ask that question. Because I think our industry really needs to pay attention to that question and start really thinking about what's going on all around them. How is it possible that our industry can have 75-year-old consultants that can never talk about anything that's critical in our industry? Do they just not know? Are they completely inept or delusional? How is it possible? How's it possible you can spend 40, 45 years in our industry, be out in the marketplace, call yourself a consultant, and everything you talk about is only perfect stuff? What are you consulting? Are you happiness consultants or what? Our industry needs to pay attention to all the realities around it. We're not going to fix things if we're afraid to talk about them. And at the end of the day, if you work at Visual Edge and Austin's telling you that because I'm the only one talking about Visual Edge, I must be crazy, you should look at Austin and say to him, Austin, I think you're the one that's crazy. Because most of the stuff Ray talks about actually all comes true. Who in our industry's been critical of Konica? Who in our industry's been a little bit critical of Visual Edge? Not just a little. I'm real critical of Visual Edge because Visual Edge is a story the industry needs to pay attention to. And they're not the only ones. There's other roll-ups out there that are owned by private equity that are probably just as close to being in trouble. The trouble that Visual Edge is in. But stay tuned, my friends, because I'll bring you those stories as I hear about them. And everybody watching me knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck at status quo, and I'll see you all tomorrow.